Jimbo.
Court is in session with Ryan in Sacktown on If You Don't Like That. Now, Ryan in Sacktown.
Oh, must be Rhino.
What's up, everybody? Happy Monday. How we doing? Coming to you from the Fox Sports Sacramento studios. Ryan in Sacktown with you. Court is in session as we get organized here on a Monday. Kings coming off of a very big win in Milwaukee. Best performance of the season, despite giving up 47 points in the first quarter. I am sure some of you are riding high on that victory. It's exactly what I thought the Kings are going to be this year. You're going to have games where it's like, what are we doing? And you're going to have games where it all comes together. Now, hopefully, as they continue to get healthier, things will come together more. If you noticed, Jason Anderson reported it. You got some guys that were on the injury list. You had Zach LaVine, Devin Carter, and one other that's escaping me right now. They are all off the injury list now. They are good to go. They're going to be able to play tonight. Game time decisions in Denver, Cam Johnson, and also, what's good, Flores, also Jamal Murray. So it's a getaway day for the Kings. They've been gone for about a week. They're going to be looking forward to getting home after this one. If you did what you did, or if you do what you did against Giannis in Milwaukee, you're going to have a shot in this game. Really what the Kings did was say, Giannis, beat us. They knew that if they let everybody else get going, it was going to be a long night. And I actually think the Kings did a decent job of mixing things up. We'll hear from Coach Christie. We'll hear also from Dennis Schroeder. They kind of built that wall and did not let Giannis get down low. Now, the numbers that you saw, in fact, why don't we go to some of those right now? The numbers that you saw after the game from this team, in terms of statistics, this is much more in line with what you would expect for the Kings' victory. If you had to create a formula for a Kings victory, it's 30 assists. We've said that since last season. 30 assists, low turnovers. The Kings only ended up with, I believe, 9 turnovers, which is pretty darn good. Yeah, 9 team turnovers, 30 assists. The other difference in this one is they played a lot more through Domantas Sabonis. And not only did they play through him, but he was able to get second opportunities. This is the first time all season the Kings out-rebounded, or at least on the offensive boards, out-rebounded their opponent. So big win. It was Milwaukee's first loss on their home court, second loss overall this season. Zach LaVine continues to look like an all-star. The thing that was different to me in this one was the ball movement. It was there. Now, I know you had Dennis Schroeder taking some threes. He made them. I felt like the Dennis Schroeder that this team needs has started to show up a little bit more over the past few games. Hopefully that continues into tonight. Getaway games are always, it's why they call them getaway games. They've been on the road for a week. They want to come home, but I think I think they have an okay shot. If you look at the odds makers, last time I checked, 11.5 point spread tonight. So we can dig into tonight's game against Denver. We can also, and Denver to me is, I actually have them winning the Western Conference this year. I think they're that good. But the Kings have matched up with them. If you go back, and I don't have the records in front of me, but if you go back and look, the Kings have played Denver pretty well over the last 3 years. Really, since they've had Sabonis, they've played them well. So I'll pull some of that up here in a little bit. We can talk about the win in Milwaukee. If you want to call the show, you can do that as well. If you want to talk about anything else, this Ja Morant stuff is really interesting to me. What's Memphis going to do? He's back tonight from the 1-game suspension. They fired coaches over him. This guy just can't get it together. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Tomas Isolo, who was the interim head coach when Taylor Jenkins was fired late in the season last year. A lot of that having to do with Ja Morant, depending on some reports. Ja Morant already clashing with Isolo. Coach was critical of Ja Morant's effort in a post-game presser, and Ja's reaction to it was reportedly less than professional. So he was suspended a game for conduct detrimental to a team. The reason I think it's interesting with Ja Morant is he's a guy that Memphis likely will not get full value for. Meaning, they're going to have to take a little bit of a haircut on the draft compensation or take on a little more payroll to move him. Because for most teams, they're not looking to take that type of risk. Now, if you're the Sacramento Kings, is that a risk you might be willing to take? Is that something that you might explore? Does the change of scenery for Ja Morant change the spots that are on the dog? I don't know if they do. I will say this. The Kings have had a decent record of taking guys that have been troubled, maybe in big cities, and really turning them in to very, very good success stories. Players that don't want to come to Sacramento end up loving Sacramento. I think probably Chris Webber is the best example of that, coming from Washington. But the only reason that I'm bringing this up, and there's no indication that the Kings are interested in Ja Morant, but I made a statement on the post-game show Saturday, which was a great show. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Jerry and I did the post-game without Grant. He will be back tonight. In fact, we will have full coverage tonight. We've got a busy day. We are kicking off a triple header across multiple platforms. If you don't know, most of you do. 3 o'clock today, Grant back. Monday, Fox Sports Radio Sacramento. Make sure you go download the Fox Sports Sacramento app. Google Store, Apple Play, just put Fox Sports KSAC in. You can download it for free. You can listen live right there on the app. No geo boundaries. You can do it anywhere in the world. Pretty cool. Also, we stream the show live to Fox Sports. You can listen on 104.7 FM. You want to go AM? No problem. 890. We're on live 3 to 6 p.m. We'll take you up right until the tip of the Kings and the Nuggets. And then after the game, we're doing post game. We will be right here on If You Don't Like That. Y'all have been showing out for the post game shows. Appreciate you very much for that. A lot of fun. Jerry and I did a good one on Saturday. Good moods from most Kings fans. You saw a little bit more structure in the Kings offense. But the reason that I brought Ja Morant up is this. On Saturday night, I said, and Jerry really agreed with me, for the Kings to be able to get a star it's going to have to be through the draft. You're not going to get one on free agency. And I mean a bona fide star. Realize when I say this, the Kings have never had a bona fide star. They haven't. They have never had that guy. Someone who's considered to be one of the faces of the league. They've never had him. Maybe they've had him at the tail end of their careers, like a Russell Westbrook, like a Vince Carter. But the Kings have never had that guy. Was there opportunities? Sure, there was. Not going to rehash the Lucas stuff. By the way, real interesting watch last night. I watched the Heat and the Lakers, also watched San Antonio and Phoenix. Wemby did not have a good night, but I got to say Grant's right about what's going on. And Steph Castle, I'm sorry, I'm just going to flat out say it. That year that Steph Castle got to have with Chris Paul, it looked like some Chris Paul has rubbed off on Steph Castle. He is a nice player. Really, really nice. Reigning Rookie of the Year. Phoenix won that one. The Lakers, Luka, they ended up winning. They are back-to-back tonight. They have a game as well. I'm not sure if Luka will play. They're in Portland, but the reason I brought up that game was Jaime Jaquez from Miami and watching Davion Mitchell. This Miami team, they're very interesting, and they do like to play at a high pace, but Jake LaRavia, he had a big night. It's so weird to me how Jake LaRavia has kind of changed. Well, he completely changed his body style for this Lakers team. What did JJ Redick say? Championship pace, championship shape. So yeah, Jake had a big night. There was one other thing that I was going to point out on that. Oh, Milwaukee, another guy that changed his body style. Did anybody recognize Kyle Kuzma? I had not watched Milwaukee yet this year. And the second Kyle Kuzma checked in, I'm like, dude spent the entire summer in the weight room. And he's kind of changed his game up a little bit. He put on a lot of muscle for an offseason. Go back and look at Kyle Kuzma last season compared to what you saw on Saturday. So, anyways, getting back in, we'll go to the phones here in a second. We'll hear from Doug Christie, Domas, and also Dennis Schroeder here in a little bit after the win in Milwaukee. But the reason I brought up the Ja Morant stuff, and the reason I said you're not going to be able to get a star other than through the draft, these are the situations in which the Kings may, and that is assuming that Ja Morant can, break his knucklehead behavior and buy in someplace. And that seems like a big reach considering the ownership here in Sacramento. But I guess what I'm saying is I'm altering my statement. That's really what I'm saying. I'm altering my statement. The Kings could get a star, but it's going to be a situation like that where there is a ton of risk. A ton of risk. Even Rob Perez today on Give and Go with Antonio Daniels. Even Rob Perez said as soon as he started thinking about a Ja Morant market, first teams that came to mind, Sacramento and Phoenix. So interesting. We can have that conversation. Let's get to the phones though first. Oh, we've got Tadora. Tadora's calling up all the way from overseas. What's up, Tadora? How you doing today?
Hi, I'm fine. But I'm gonna make a quick call because in Serbia it's 10 p.m. and I need to get up. I mean, my school is not early, but I need to get up. I need to learn history. I didn't learn it.
You need to, yeah, you know what? I would agree with you. You need to learn your history. You already got your basketball history down, but you need to learn your world history.
Yes. So I want to say I know Denver and Sacramento will play, but because of school, as I said, I can't watch. So I'm gonna watch it when I come home from school and when I have time. And I was like when it was 31st October, I was wondering if there was a show so I can tell you guys happy Halloween, but I don't know if there was a show. I was outside with my friends. We were
No
messing
worries.
around. Yes, we were messing around. We found like one guy that was dressed up as Michael Myers. So he followed us from like he followed us. So when he left, we started following him. So it was funny. And
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
next
to be
year,
young again.
yeah,
All right, you go to bed. I appreciate you lobbing a call. Give me a good holy moly.
holy moly, Zimbabwe.
There we go. She is the best, other than Jerry Reynolds. At that, for those who don't know, that's Baki's daughter, Tedora. She knows her basketball. Happy Halloween, by the way, Tedora. Late Halloween. Yeah. Did everybody have a good Halloween? Did everybody collect their mom and dad taxes? Oh my gosh! If I can find a way to upload this picture of Candy, maybe I will try to do that during the interviews. If you take your kids trick or treating and you know somebody puts a bowl, or in this case, a plate of candy out, you better be hip and hip with your kids, especially if they're younger, because they might not see something that's irregular like we would see something that was irregular. And wait till you see a picture of this. I don't even know what to call it. A plate of candies that somebody left out in our neighborhood for the kids to grab. It was appalling. It almost ended our night. I'm like, boys, run right now. So, anyways, it was weird. I will get that uploaded. You got to see it. I had a major grievance with that. Let's get to Dirk first. What's up, Dirk?
Hey Reno, how are you, man?
Doing good. How you doing, man?
Doing good, man. So I was really enjoying that game on Saturday. I was late. I didn't watch it right away. I watched a recording of it. But it harkens back to something that I've been thinking about for a while. Like if you were going to center a team around Sabonis, for example, right? His best quality is his ability to get rebounds. I don't know of a team that necessarily has ever been established where the skill that they're superior at is rebounding. But one thing I've always noticed about him is he's a black hole when it comes to rebounds, right? So ball comes into his vicinity, he's going to get it. And then you look at like a guy like Cardwell who is learning, right? But
Mm-hmm.
he's good at taking guys out of plays. Like, so he might not get the rebound, but neither are you. And I was trying to think of like a team-based approach to rebounding. Like, what if the Kings could just be superior to where they get, maybe like 60% of all rebounds that they have an opportunity to get? What would that look like, and how could it work with Sabonis, where you actually have an advantage, right? I guess the advantage being you're going to get more rebounds means you're going to get more possessions, more attempts at three-pointers to gain a lead. And that's when I started to think about Russell Westbrook, in the offseason last year before that we made that deal. I was trying to speculate how we could get him on this team, because I think what you saw in the last game was really the best version of him in this potential Kings team of combining him with Sabonis. And I didn't catch your post game on that, but what were your thoughts on Russell Westbrook after that game?
I thought he was huge, and the coach talked about that, or Coach Christie talked about that. Those are the reasons that you bring Russ in, and he was able to do a little bit with Giannis. He wanted to guard Giannis. Um, the thing right now that's trendy in the NBA, Dirk, is crashing 5 people. And to me, if you're going to come up with some type of rebounding scheme, I want to have my bigs getting downhill towards the boards as the shots are going up. So I think that would be the only way that you do that with Domas, and then you still have some guards out on the perimeter where he can kick out if he gets it. But look, Russ has been better for this team. He's made this team better, not worse. But the real crossroads for me is going to be when Keegan Murray comes back. When this team's fully healthy, I don't think this is a team Russell Westbrook can play that many minutes on, or at least not what he's playing right now. But he's been really big at moments for this team.
Yeah, I just you look at his stat line alone, just for the 4-13, and you look at that shallowly, you might say, "Oh man, that guy had a bad game." We do see he does take some bad shots, but the impact there, he got away with, I'd say, some fouls on Giannis that other players are not getting away from, getting away
sure.
with on this Kings roster.
For
So
sure.
I just feel like, before, when we have drafted, I was curious if Devin Carter, one of the reasons he was taken, is to also be able to add that to your team, a guard who rebounds. And for me, especially considering the defensive makeup on this team, I don't know that you can spare a guy in every situation. Like Keegan might be better at the 3-point arc and remaining in that position in some looks where we have a guard and Sabonis crash the boards. Because hypothetically, if the team goes out on a fast break, you've got your best shot blocker in Keegan back there, best defender against positions 1 through 5, to sort of give the defense a chance to get back. But anyway, I just wanted to comment that was what I envisioned Westbrook would add to this team, and it's good to see that at least for one game, it can add value.
No doubt. I thought he added value in other places. The win against Utah, I thought there was a decent amount of value defensively that he brought. He ended up on marketing, and he was really the only guy that was somewhat effective checking him. And I think part of that is the great point you made. He can get away with a little bit more on defense than the other Kings can, especially Keon and Neek.
Yeah, but I will say, the opportunity cost, kind of to Grant's point, are you potentially giving up youth developing? If Keon's not your long-term plans, those two are operating at a similar position, you're giving up potential for additional development. Now that Neek's back, do you want to see more of Westbrook, or would you like Neek to sort of get the opportunity to face these guys as he, you want him to learn from the greats, see the mistakes he's making on getting fouls on these guys when he shouldn't be? That's the big question. Now, Neek wasn't an option until the last game. So is there a big picture? I personally, I kind of want Neek to get as much exposure as possible, but there's too many guards. That's what it breaks down to. So.
Yep, 100%. I'm with you there. The Kings there's some report. Thanks, Dirk. Appreciate you. There's some reports, and I know that the Kings have wanted to get bigger. I've talked to people off the record in the front office that have put that near the top of the concerns about the makeup of this team. And I believe it was Jake Fisher that said the Kings might have some interest in Precious. What's his last name? Going blank right now. Achua. Precious Achua from the Knicks, who is now still a free agent. That one was surprising because it wasn't until it was right around training camp that he finally signed a non-guaranteed deal with the team. And I thought there would have been a bigger market for Precious Achua. He's only 26 years old, and I think he's somebody that would actually fit pretty well with the Kings. He's a rim runner. He's long. He gave the Knicks some serviceable minutes at times when Thibodeau turned to him, especially when Mitchell Robinson was out. So I would not mind the Kings bringing him in on some type of small deal, non-guaranteed deal, whatever it might be. How do you open up a roster spot for that? We'll see. What I do know is the Kings are leaning on guys. And look, Dylan Cardwell, nobody had it in their hand or in the cards that Dylan Cardwell would be playing the minute. Did anybody think Dylan Cardwell would start one of the first 10 games? Nobody. And I'm a big Dylan Cardwell guy. I think he has a bright future. His offensive game is extremely raw. It's raw as can be, but his toughness, his rebounding, his mindset, it's there. It's NBA ready. It's everything else that you need to develop. And he's a big body too. It's just the game is still a little too fast for him. So he's a two-way guy. The Kings are going to have to do something there if he's still in the plans. And Isaac Jones, has he fallen out of favor with Doug Christie at this point? You got to ask yourself that. But to Dirk's bigger point, no, Russell Westbrook to me cannot be playing 33 minutes and 33 seconds once you have Neek and Keegan back. Now, the one guy that completely, to me, falls out of the rotation is Devin Carter. Forget about it. Devin Carter at that point is not going to see the floor that much. But Doug could, theoretically, play a lot more guys than most teams do. And I don't necessarily have a problem with it if Doug decides to go that way. But Keon Ellis must be getting more minutes than Russell Westbrook. If Russell Westbrook is getting more minutes than Keon Ellis, we've got a major problem here in Sacktown. Because, yes, you are then, to me, hurting the development of the younger side of this roster. But without Russell Westbrook, I don't know that the Kings, and the Kings probably only have one win without him. He has been able to, at times, and I'm not going to say perfectly, but he's been able to sufficiently fill a little bit of that gap defensively that the Kings lose without Keegan Murray. Speaking of Keegan Murray, he got some work in on Saturday. I have not heard anything concrete, but the impression that I get is Keegan might be a little bit ahead of schedule. He's not going to be playing tonight. He's already ruled out. He's not going to be playing when the Kings return. But I do feel Keegan Murray is ahead of schedule. If he's getting on-court work, which normally that work would have been done at shoot-around and not before the game, but the Kings didn't have a shoot-around Saturday. So he got his work in before the game. That, to me, and I'm sniffing around, I'm looking for an answer. I wonder if he hasn't already been reevaluated. Let me repeat that. I wonder, and this is speculation on my part, I wonder if Keegan Murray has not already been reevaluated. I think he might be a little bit ahead of schedule. That's what my gut tells me. I can't give you anything solid, but it's something that I'm digging around on right now. So, yeah, big contract for sure. Ja, benefit from a fresh start. Just be difficult again with a slew of our guards. Okay, but that's what I'm saying. You would be giving up. You're not just bringing Ja in and keeping everything that you have. I think if the Kings were going to take the risk on Ja Morant, I think Zach LaVine could be in play. Memphis is going to have to take some risk in return. Now, I don't think they would do that well, maybe they would, because Zach's got the $49 million option next year. It's a good question. What I'm saying is, if there was a possibility of being able to get off a player or two that you didn't think you could get off, because I don't think there's going to be a big market for Ja, it could be a possibility. And you would get rid of some guards in any deal like that. But these are all hypotheticals. I'm not hearing anything about the Kings being interested in Ja. But again, they're going to take a haircut. Memphis has to take a haircut because of all of his problems. Should be interesting. So we're going to hear from Coach Christie here in a second, but I told you I want to get to this message. What's up, Wolf? It has been a while. Hope you're doing well. Somebody said you should not be going trick-or-treating. I'm going to disagree. It's okay to go trick-or-treating if you are a kid, but you better watch carefully what your kids are picking out of bowls. So I teased this a second ago. Check this out. When Dirk was on, I was able to get this uploaded. This is why if I see the sign or the piece of paper that says, please take 2 candies, I'm always attached to my son's hip. Here's why. This is what somebody put out. Look at that. That's like food poisoning on a plate. That's like, let me go dig in the corners of my cabinet where things have fallen through and just grab whatever I can, sweep it into a dustpan, and put it on a platter. Look at that. You have open candies. What's that on the right? Is that an open piece of See's candy with mold on it? So, like, if you send your 2-year-old up to the door with Big Brother, you better hope Big Brother or sister is trained in saying, you ain't touching that. Look at that. It was the most atrocious thing I had ever seen. And don't try to come at me and say, oh, I'm sure an animal got into it. No. You know damn well if I grabbed one of those Ghirardellis, they'd be expired. But look at that. How do you put that out? Wrappers that are empty? What are we doing? Where did the standard go? Couch candy, right? How disgusting is that? That is awful. Awful, awful, awful. In fact, that almost ended our night of trick-or-treating. Not because of me, because of my son and his best friend. They were both so grossed out by that. So what's Daddy got to do? Daddy's taking a picture and he's putting it up. Like, come on, man. Do better. Doug Christie after the big win in Milwaukee.
Doug, how much do you guys need to find a win here, find a way to win, and then how far can that go in terms of what you're trying to do?
I think it goes a long way. I think that part of believing in something, sometimes you need to see the unseen, and you need to know that it's true and it's there. That team right there showed the type of fight that I think the whole city of Sacramento will be extremely proud of. So for me, huge win. It's only one, but you continue to fight like that in this league, you win. Some of those previous games, we win. They didn't give in. They didn't complain. They just continued to chip away at it until the buzzer sounded. And those are the things that you have to do in this league. The wins in this league are hard to come by. So to every single player, staff member in that locker room, I tip my hat and commend them.
You finished the 60 to 50 advantage in points in the paint. The free throw numbers, you guys hit, 28 out of 35. You know where you guys have been in those two areas.
Mm-hmm.
How important were those today to pull out a close game?
I mean, it's about as important as it comes. Defend, rebound, and share the ball. Assists, 30. It's always the number that you want. You rebound the ball, you're +1. Those are the things that have to happen for us to be successful. I think getting to the free throw line is about being aggressive, being decisive. That goes with sharing the ball, because once the advantage is created, then you got to be willing to go in there and take the hits. And tonight, guys got downhill. They rejected some. There was a couple possessions where the ball just bounced around. And, all I can say is when the ball's going up is fantastic basketball. Whether it goes in or not isn't the point. The point is y'all playing the right way, and we can live with that.
Doug, how do you think your team responded early when Bobby pushed Domas, got kind of chippy? How would you assess the response the team had out there?
Well, for me, I'm about that life.
You know what? This is a great point, Furious. It really is. You saying second gear and experience makes me say chippiness. He has brought an attitude in a good way. Now, the problem with Russell, and I said this on the radio last week, he came out in one of the games. It was the 5:00 start. Chicago. I think it was Chicago. And he hit 3 triples right off the bat. And it's like, okay, he's not traditionally a good 3-point shooter. He has been here in Sacramento. But how do you get him to back off of it if it starts clanking, if they're not going in? How do you ramp that down? And it's really hard to do because that's just who Russ is going to be. And teams are going to tempt him to shoot that 3. So, but yes, the chippiness, the experience, the ability. I mean, he has guarded, and I don't mean he started at center, but he has guarded 1 through 5 during his time here in Sacramento so far at points. Back to Doug.
That's exactly what I want to see, because ultimately we don't find out about each other until it gets rocky anyway. So, when things are good and sweet and everything's going out your way, it's when it gets bumpy. And what are we made of? What are we willing to do? They ran in and made sure he was good. So check that box. You don't let nobody get up in your face. Check that box. And then you respond. Check that box. So for them, well done. But that's one. There'll be another one coming when we get to Denver.
With Russell, it seems like you guys are asking a lot, whether it's guarding all 1 through 5, whatever. Can you just take me through those conversations? Is it, Russ, I need you to guard Giannis. Okay, coach, or is he welcoming that challenge? Can you just go through that?
Russ don't duck no smoke. Anything that I ask him to do, he's like, yep, coach, I got you. There was a conversation. Hey, can you handle that? Yep, coach, I got you. Want to guard Giannis? Yep, coach, I got you. Need you to rebound? Yep, coach, I got you. Whatever people say about Russ, I've always been a fan, and now I'm even more of a fan because he is a team player. I don't care what's been out there, whatever. You say whatever you want. I judge people off of what I see. And ever since that he's come into our locker room and put on our jersey, he's about the team and trying to figure out a way for the team to win. Does that mean that you're not emotional and all that and stuff happens? Yeah, that's the nature of basketball. That's the nature of competitive sports. But sign me up. You can be on my team any day.
Doug, what'd you guys, 47, you gave up 47 in the first quarter. They're hitting everything. What was the adjustment, and how did you guys kind of turn things around there?
We didn't really adjust till halftime. I take that back. We stopped with the clamp on Giannis and, tried to make him find the game. And sometimes that's kind of the thing, you can overdo it. So against some of the greatest players, I went under on screens and tell my players to go under because it might not be their night. As opposed to double teaming him hitting out. Now all of a sudden the ball's skipping around, they're knocking down shots. Normally you come back to the mean a little bit. They were rolling, and to those guys' credit, they just kept their head down and they said, we're going to believe in what we're doing. And that just makes you smile as a coach.
Dennis said that DeMar might have said something about letting Domas just take Giannis one-on-one.
Yes.
Can you walk us through kind of that
Um,
process?
So that's Coach Christie on the win. Some of my key takeaways from the game as I kind of look back through my game notes. We talked about the 47 for point quarter, first quarter that Milwaukee started out with. The Kings kind of began grinding. Things were slow with the starters. Speaking of starters, what is Doug Christie going to do tonight with the starting lineup? You saw another different starting lineup in Milwaukee with Cardwell. He didn't really play much after that. In fact, Westbrook started the second half in his place. So I guess Westbrook did kind of start at set. I don't know. But the starters are not getting out to good starts. The starters dug this team into a hole. And it's the bench that continually digs them out of the hole. And mind you, no Malik Monk on Saturday, no Malik Monk tonight due to personal reasons. But you still got significant, sufficient help on the bench. That should mean more minutes for Keon, although he only recorded 16. That's way too low for me. That's way too low. But the big difference in this was the ball movement. That is when the ball started moving. In fact, check this out. Between the second and the end of the third quarter, the Kings outscored the Bucks 72-58. 72-58. Cole Anthony gets ejected. The Kings were just, they were making really good decisions. And then the end of the game, they were able to do what they needed to do, handle their business. And I would say, look at the free throws. This is the biggest thing that's been missing from the Kings. Coming into this game, the Kings were second worst in free throw attempts. They were 29th in the NBA. The Clippers, only worse. They were also second worst in free throw percentage. Look at what the Kings did. They got to the line 40 times. That's huge. You know why they did that? Because everything was downhill. And when things are downhill, you get calls. Now, I must acknowledge the 2-minute report did state that there should have been some different calls that were in favor of the Bucks. Doc should have used his challenges different. It's on him. No, you can't challenge in the last 2 minutes. But the Kings got a good whistle. They took advantage of it. And the biggest thing, again, that I take from this game, and the defense was better. The communication was better. What they did on Giannis was really good and effective for the most part. But what I take from this game is the ball movement, the communication on defense, and just how important it still is to play through Domantas Sabonis offensively. You don't have to play through him 100% of the time, but you do need to play through him a decent amount of the time. I thought the pick and rolls were better. I thought Schroeder was turning the corner more. I thought everybody was making the extra pass. And I asked Jerry Reynolds about this. I said, Jerry, when the ball moves, isn't there added benefits on both sides of the court? And he expanded on it. He's like, absolutely. Guys are into the game. There is something to touching the leather once a possession. Super important for a basketball team. So can the Kings do it again in Denver? It's going to be a big ask. I think Denver is the best team in the Western Conference, even though they're out to a little bit of a slow start by their standard at 3-2. Coming off of a loss to Portland most recently on Halloween. Watch out for Portland. Portland is going to be, and Grant and I have been kind of blowing this horn or blowing the whistle, that they're going to be on the way up. Now, it doesn't mean they're going to be at the top of the West, but this is the year that they make a jump, in my opinion. They beat New Orleans, Denver 122-88. They beat Minnesota, they beat Phoenix, and they have a loss to Golden State, 137-131 in overtime. That one was on national television last week. I don't even feel Keon Ellis knows his role on this team, sadly. You know, it's kind of funny because I asked Keon straight up, and he said that they finally, or was it Keon that told me? No, it was Drew Eubanks, who played a really good game, by the way, in this one. It was Drew Eubanks who told me that the day before the opening game in Phoenix, Doug Christie went down man-to-man and told every player their role, but then you have more injuries come into it, and, you know, things change from there. But again, if you can just get through November, which is a big ask, it's a huge ask. You look what's coming up on the schedule now. You've got Denver tonight. You come home for 4 games. 3 of them are in 4 nights. Your homestand starts off with Golden State on Wednesday, Friday, OKC, Sunday, Minnesota, and then you see Denver again on Tuesday. That's going to be an NBC game. Minnesota should be without Anthony Edwards, so that should help you out. But that's a rough homestand, and then after that, you finish with Atlanta on Wednesday. So you've got 6 at home. Excuse me. Golden State, Oklahoma City, Minnesota, Denver, Atlanta. No, you got 5 at home. And then you hit the road again, and you are at Minnesota, at San Antonio, at OKC, at Memphis, at Denver, and then back home on my schedule is ripped. You are back home on the 24th against Minnesota. So this team has got a heck of a schedule ahead of them, but I will say this again, if you can come through it 2-3 games under 500, then that is a huge win for this team. Huge win for this team. So anyways, Kings and Nuggets tonight, getting you ready for that. Don't forget, we are going to be live in just a little bit over an hour on Fox Sports Radio. Some don't even know that Grant's back on the radio. Yeah, Grant is back. Is there enough to talk about from this weekend? I haven't talked about the World Series, which, by the way, can you believe Rojas went legend in a women's necklace? Did you see the necklace that guy was wearing? Never, ever, ever did I think I would get a tap on the shoulder from my wife while watching baseball, which she rarely does, and says, "Honey, can you get me that necklace?" Seriously, go Google it. He's wearing a woman's necklace. That's not a male necklace. Nonetheless, he's a World Series hero. The Dodgers pull it out in 7 in what might be one of the better World Series of my lifetime. But holy bleep. So Grant's going to have thoughts on that. NFL, crazy week in the NFL. Go Hawks. How about that performance last night in Washington? Jaden Daniels. Bad news. Bad news. Dislocates his non-throwing elbow. That's nuts. So we've got a ton to cover. Join us at 3 p.m. Fox Sports Sacramento, 104.7 FM, 890 AM. Don't forget, by the way, download the Fox Sports Sacramento app. Just go to Google Play, go to the Apple Store, type in Fox Sports KSAC, and it'll come up totally free. You can listen live anytime that we are on the air. No geo boundaries. You could be in Serbia like Baki and Todora. We have people in the Philippines listening that we hear from all the time. Listen to it there. If you can't catch the show live, no worries. We will upload it to Grant's podcast platform. That is temporary, though. That's not going to continue. Fox is still rolling out a company-wide new platform for every Fox Sports podcast. So we're waiting on that. And then tonight, we will have the live coverage after the game for you, taking your phone calls with the one and only Jerry Reynolds and Grant for the Kings and the Nuggets. Can they come home on a positive note? Can they get their first winning streak of the NBA season? We will see. Big ask. Joker. Denver. Cam Johnson. Game time decision. Also game time decision. Jamal Murray. Last time I checked. So we've got a full docket of coverage and topics to hit today. There you go. Wow. Didn't know. There we go. That's right. Kyle Larson won the cup. You know what is so bizarre to me? It's the most bizarre thing ever. Somehow, some way, my parents became massive NASCAR fans. Like, to the point, football is not on in the house. It's NASCAR. They were all about NASCAR. And yeah, Kyle Larson. How about him? Bouncing back from some adversity. I'm fascinated. I'm super fascinated with how NASCAR works the championship races. And I was asking my dad about this. Because I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not a NASCAR guy. I'll watch a race here and there. I'll watch parts of a race. The big races, I might catch a couple hours of. But it's funny how they do the championship series because you have other racers that are not eligible to win the championship in the race. And it's like, okay, what's stopping one of them from spinning somebody out? Just to spin them out. You know? Like, what's stopping them from doing that? You could get rear-ended by somebody that has zero chance of winning the championship. Why are they out on the track with you? Does it make for a better race? Why not just put the 6, 8, 10 cars that could win the championship on the track? Maybe that's not a good thing. I don't know. Somebody explain it to me. I will try to get more educated when it comes to NASCAR. I will be at the game in Memphis on November 20th, fuller seats. Nice, Rock. Good job. I heard Memphis is a rough, from Grant, just not a good place to see a game, both outside the arena and inside the arena. They're going to have the spotlight on them tonight. If I'm looking at the NBA schedule tonight, you know, like, what do you think, Memphis? I'd be interested to see. And by the way, I love that Peacock and NBC, or at least NBC, they air the starting lineups. I think that's so cool. Does anybody else like that? I love that. You can usually only get that if you are on NBA League Pass and you're watching the arena feed. I love that, though, that they do that. I wonder how Memphis fan is going to react to Ja Morant. Like, are you just frustrated at this point and you want the guy gone? Doncic is out tonight. Austin Reeves also out tonight. This affects the Kings, by the way. Anthony Edwards cleared for contact, not games. That changes everything. So if Anthony Edwards is cleared for contact and the Kings don't see the Timberwolves until Sunday, my guess is he's back. So take that away. I would anticipate that Anthony Edwards will be playing unless he has a setback. If he is cleared for contact already, but not games, that's almost a full week. He'll be back. So yeah, so much for that Kings not having to deal with Anthony Edwards. I expect he will be back. Suspect. Yeah. Jaw, head case. I just, he's made so much money. And he's probably lost out on as much money as he's made. Think about how many. I would love to ask this question of somebody that was or is a legitimate gangbanger, a member of a gang. Like, wouldn't probably most members, if you're thinking right, want to trade places with Ja Morant in a second? You would think so, but this guy has everything in front of him. Here's what it comes down to as well. It's the people that are around him. His dad's been banned from the arena at times, kicked out. His dad's always sitting courtside. He does not have a good group around him. And that can very, very much negatively affect a player. Ask Marvin Bagley. Mike Bibby today might tell you the same. Dude needs a change of pace. He's got to get out of Memphis. He just does. So, NBA schedule tonight. Let's talk about it. We know about the Kings and the Nuggets, which we've been breaking down for a minute. You've got Minnesota at Brooklyn, Milwaukee back in action at Indiana, Utah at Boston, Washington at New York, Dallas at Houston. That'll be a decent one. Detroit at Memphis, Sac at Denver, as we've said. The Lakers at Portland. The Lakers are resting everybody. By the way, I mean this seriously and without any disrespect to him. Bronny James got some minutes last night during crunch time, and he actually played really well. He played really well defensively. And then you also have the Heat at the Clippers. So good to see Davion Mitchell last night playing against the Lakers, and Jaime Jaquez. Oh my gosh. What I would give to get that guy. He's just an incredible. He doesn't do one thing. Like, he's not the best at one thing, but he is just good at everything. He's just a classic basketball player. It's crazy. So as we move forward and we look at tonight, let's go ahead and go into the media center and check out what we have for the Denver Nuggets. Check out some game notes for them. These are interesting. Oh, it's the seating. Why did I hit them? I wanted the game notes. I don't need the media seating. Give me the Nugget game notes. Okay. All right. That's not really pertinent. There we go. That's what we're looking for. Tonight's opponent, the Denver Nuggets. Oh, they're going to give us the Kings. Yeah. Okay. Because Denver's providing the material. So we need. Wait. See, I love this portal that the Kings provide us, but it is sometimes a little confusing. All right. Let's look at the Kings stats. I want to look at the team stats. Here we go. Next opponent. This should be what we want. There we go. Oh, it's Golden State. All right. I'm still figuring this out. Hang with me. I'm trying to get the Denver info up. Let's go to our stats, though. stat map. That is for last game. See, you're learning with me on this. Team stats. That's what I want. Here's what we wanted. Okay, perfect. So let's look at this. Few things I'm looking at when it comes to the Kings. I'm looking at 3-point attempts. Nobody should be taking more threes than Zach LaVine. I don't like Dennis Schroeder at 4.8. Russell Westbrook at 4.5. That's eventually going to bite you in the butt. Unless his 3-point game has miraculously changed in year 18. If you look at the attempts, I'm trying to probably spread out some of those attempts that you're going to be missing from Malik, who is your best 3-point shooter right now on the team. I'm trying to get Key on some more of those. The guy that I am trying not to get more of those is DeMar DeRozan, because the toe is always on the line. Like, that's how committed DeMar is to the mid-range. He puts his toe on the line on purpose. But pump that up for Zach. Zach has been playing at, Jerry said it, all-star level. I want some more burn from Zach when it comes to the offensive end. But the assist numbers is really what matters. The assists, wrong category. The assist numbers is the other thing I'm looking at. Sabonis needs to be higher on this list. Like, it's crazy that Sabonis is only averaging 3.8 assists per game. That's not Domantas Sabonis' fault. That's the coaching staff's fault. As you saw last game, play more through Domantas Sabonis. Schroeder, for me, Dennis Schroeder's shot attempts should be in line with his assists. That's when this team functions its best, in my opinion. And we were closer to that. He had a really good game, a more balanced game on Saturday. But the free throws, that is something that's up now to 25 attempts. It's got to be higher. The Kings have to get to the line. I'm going to say 30 and 30. For the Kings to win a basketball game, they have to have 30 assists, and they have to get to the free throw line at least 30 times. Anybody disagree with me? That's what I would say. Great. Now we have the Denver Nuggets numbers. Here you go. Points per game, 115.7 for the Kings, 120.8 for the Nuggets. Field goal percentage, not a surprise there. Jokic leading in points, rebounds, and assists, bests. Russell Westbrook might have a chip on his shoulder coming into tonight because Denver didn't want him back. Expect him to definitely get a starting lineup or get some type of recognition. With all the future Hall of Famers on this Kings team, you would think we would get more free throws. Well, you're not getting, here's the thing. They weren't getting to the hoop consistently. That's why you were not getting the free throw attempts. You have to consistently be going downhill. You have to consistently be going at the defense. Now, I will say this, and I'm going to throw one wild concern at you about tonight that you're probably not going to hear anywhere else. The Kings zone offense has been far below par. In fact, that is almost what spurred the comeback from Milwaukee last game. They went into zone, and the Kings didn't really recognize it, or their idea of attacking it was DeMar going from the wing position with the ball to the middle of the key, or the middle to the free throw line, I should say, where the zone's going to collapse on you and take a shot. There's two ways to break a zone defense. Get the ball in the middle. The Kings have to send somebody that can create and play make to that middle spot, preferably Domantas Sabonis, usually Keegan Murray, if he's able to play and available, which he's not tonight. Not super high on sending DeMar to that spot, but also just as important as sending somebody to that spot in the middle is you've got to have guys running the baseline. You got to have a guy that gets behind the defense. One, because you can get an easy bucket, but two, when a team runs a zone defense, they are liable for offensive rebounds. So you have somebody that can get in there. So I need to see better recognition by the Kings and some type of zone offense, because we haven't seen it now in a couple of games. And if I'm a opposing coach, that's jumping off the film to me. The other thing is the Kings cannot, and they did not for the most part in Milwaukee, gamble. They weren't going for steals when they were picking up full court. That is a good thing. That helps keep the ball better in front of you for a team that is a not very good on-ball defense team. So it'll be interesting. It's going to be a hard game for them, but why not? As Russell Westbrook says, why not? You've already got one that you were not supposed to get. Why don't you go steal another? My guess is you probably will see Russell Westbrook in the starting lineup tonight. That would be my guess. I was very surprised. Did anybody else catch this last game? That Max got into the game fairly early. In fact, we saw Max and Neek get some time together. One of the few times we've seen them on the court together in the regular season. I would expect Neek to play better tonight, get some more minutes tonight. But my X factor tonight, it's going to be Keon Ellis. You're going to have to get some really good production from Keon Ellis. And I think he can. He's shooting the three ball very well this season. So you got to keep going at Sabonis, playing through him. Schroeder this team cannot settle for three-pointers. Cannot. If you do, it's going to be a long night. So we will be back here in just a little bit. In fact, on the radio in just actually 50 minutes on the dot. So hopefully you can join us. We've got this thing covered from all angles. Grant will be starting his show at 3 o'clock. Download the Fox Sports Sacramento app. You can do it in the Google Play Store or Apple Store, or you can just listen on 104.7 FM, 890 AM. Give us a call. Whatever you want to talk about, we will hit 916-779-0929. You can also text the show at that same number. And then after the radio show and after the Kings and the Nuggets tonight, the one and only Jerry Reynolds joins us for post-game, taking your calls and breaking down what could be a decent road trip if the Kings are able to pull this one off. I think the Kings will be competitive tonight. I do. The Kings have, I said this at the start of the show, they've traditionally, since Sabonis came to Sacramento, played the Nuggets fairly well, or at least usually split. So I think it'll be a good game. In fact, remember last year, the Kings should have gotten one towards the end of the season. Jake LaRavia played his tail off against Jokic, but they let that one slip away. And then the Kings did get the year before the 46-win season. That's what kind of turned them into the more physical team. They won a really ugly basketball game in Denver. It's one of those races to 100. So I think the Kings will be competitive tonight, but the 30 and 30 rule applies. You got to get to the free throw line at least 30 times and obviously make them at a higher clip like the Kings did last game. And you need to have 30 assists. That's what you got to do. Let Jokic beat you. Don't let Jokic get his teammates involved and let them beat you, because then Jokic will still beat you. So let him beat you. Let him beat you. Let Sabonis go one-on-one with him, just like they did with Giannis. That's what my game plan would be. I would also mix in some zone, mix in some traps, and I would throw multiple lines of players at Denver tonight. Last time I checked, I'll check one more time before we go off the air, but the Kings, their injury report is clean, other than Keegan Murray, which we knew about, and Malik Monk. He is out due to personal reasons. I gave you my take on Keegan earlier in the show. You can go catch that on replay. Cam Johnson and Jamal Murray, both still game time decisions. So we'll keep our eye to the injury report. Denver did not play last night, so my guess is both of those guys should go. Denver, 11.5-point favorites tonight. So, all right, we'll see you on Fox Sports Radio here in just a little bit. Lots to cover: NFL, MLB, and obviously the Kings and the Nuggets. Go Kings, light the beam. We'll see you in 45 on the other side with the big man Napes over in the chair in the studio to my left. Have a great rest of the afternoon. Go grab some water, grab a snack, and get ready for the 3 o'clock show. Bring your contributions. We want to hear from you. 916-779-0929. We out.